Elle me prend la main et je lui dis oui. Fut un lendemain, jamais aujourd'hui. Paupières à faire mes amis chemin. Ciel du midi clair, elle me prend la main. Quand tu me réponds, c'est que j'aime entendre. Nos lèvres se frôlent et nos bouches se fendent. Un été qui dure une décennie. Un prénom qui rime en mélancolie.
Good morning, everybody. This is Laura, and you wandered into Stuff I Find Interesting. Apparently, I can't count. I called last episode 61, when in actuality it was 62, which, if you can count that high, which I struggle with, apparently, 63. That's where we're at. I've done this 63 times, and it's debatable as to whether or not I've gotten any better at it. So, in case you're new, my name is Laura, and I talk about stuff I find interesting. Kind of no frills way. I just sort of talk. It's more like a conversation about stuff. I probably spend way too much time on the internet, as will be evidenced by the randomness of my findings. And we got some good stuff this week, I gotta say. But it's a little top heavy in that I kept going over it to make sure that I kind of had it in my head how to put it together. But I focused a lot on the first part of it. So the last part of this episode is not as well constructed. That's neither here nor there. Let's get started, shall we? First, we need some light. Speaking of light, it's like way too bright in here. I might have to lower this down. Let's see, how do I do that? Ooh, there we go. It's a little better. Maybe lower this down a little bit. I don't know. I feel like it's too bright. There we go. Okay, so we've got our light. No. Now my chin is amputated. There we go. Lighting is so complicated. I swear, when I used to sling antiques and collectibles and I'd have to take pictures of them, it's like the lighting would have to be absolutely perfect. You'd have to have all kinds of angles and colored bulbs. It was nuts. But I'm kind of a nutty person, so I probably took it way too far. I didn't have a kitchen during that time in my life. I had a studio. There was no kitchen. There was just the studio that was in the kitchen. And there were Matchbox cars, accordions, dishes, all kinds of crazy stuff. So this is from medieval times. Someone drew this on purpose, and it was a little notation in the margin of an illuminated manuscript. So an illuminated manuscript, it might have been like a book of hours, it might have been like a book of prayers, but this little dude was in there somewhere. Okay, now that we've got our lighting right, we need to get comfortable, get a pillow or something, right? Maybe not that one. But I'm sharing this with you because it's so silly. It's an octopus pillow hoodie for your child. So it's got do you call them tentacles? Yes. It's got tentacles, like an octopus. But then in the middle of it, there's a hole with a hood. So you can slide the whole thing over top of your baby's head. And yeah, it's hard to explain, right? There's videos. I don't know that I want to watch the videos. That baby looks awfully comfortable, though. Here we've got how to wash and care for it. Oh, we've got some pictures of maybe some bigger people, what it would look like if a bigger person wore it. Very silly. Yeah, we don't want that one. Let's get something else to cuddle with. Oh, no, wait. Ugh. This is something that I have no idea where I was, what I was doing, but this popped up and I went, what? Why? How? What in the algorithm? Introducing our men's white furry cat cosplay costume from the Furry Cat Collection. This striking costume is designed to transform you into a majestic and playful feline, perfect for cosplay events, Halloween parties, or any occasion where you want to stand out. The costume features a luxurious white fowl fur jumpsuit that is soft and plush, providing ultimate comfort and a realistic cat-like appearance. The jumpsuit fits snugly and comes with an attached tail, adding to the authenticity of the cat costume. To complete the costume includes a matching cat-themed mask and wig. Oh, it's not even one piece. You got to put the thing on. Okay, well. There you go. For $160 plus shipping. It could be all yours. But I wasn't thinking of like dressing up like a furry. I was thinking more like a pillow. This is a man-sized teddy bear. Allergies, man. And I just, these pictures, this is a man-sized teddy bear. And he has the body of a man and the head of a teddy bear. I do have to say that proportionately they should have made the head slightly bigger to match the body because he looks a little small-headed. He is 67 inches tall, which is 5 feet 7 inches. And he weighs 7 pounds. He arrives with no clothing of his own. So you got to figure that out, I guess. $198. Since Puffy has been with me, I fall asleep much easier and faster. I love the softness and the sense of security it gives me. You know what? I am not one to judge because I sleep with both a blanket and a teddy bear, and I have since I was a kid. So there's a teddy bear in my bed right now. Not life-size, though. Maybe I'm just jealous. I don't know. Oh, here, this is one for slightly cheaper, $180. Returns and exchanges accepted. I don't know that I would want to get a returned one of these, if you know what I mean. Okay, maybe we don't want teddy bear. Let's do something else. How about a giant carrot? A giant carrot pillow. That is very strange. I don't know about that. You know what? Let's keep it moving. I want to get comfortable, so let's find ourselves some pajamas. Hugh Hefner personally owned purple pajamas, $5,000. No, I wouldn't wear anything worn by that man. So, just an aside, when I was growing up in my house, not to be crude, but it was normal for there to be like porn magazines everywhere. And not just Playboy, just porn everywhere. So I grew up thinking that that was normal. Now that I'm an adult, I know how weird and gross that is. Like to have kids running around and you've got hardcore porn sitting out. Like, how gross is that? I don't know. It's one of the reasons why I'm so delightfully strange, though. Is because it was traumatic, right? Like, anyway, that was a really bad digression. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lay that on you guys. But yeah, no Hugh Hefner personally owned purple pajamas. We'll pass on this. And what is this? This is like $3,000 for what? For that? Like what? $3,252 for a Louis Vuitton pajama shirt. Wow. People pay that? You know, I guess I've just been buying secondhand clothes since I was like young, so I guess I'm just used to. Like, okay, so let's look at the vintage stuff. I feel like the vintage stuff is going to be more interesting. Here we go. A Pucci form-fit Rogers nightgown. That's pretty sexy. I like that. Stunning blue 1940s vintage lounge set pajamas. Look at this one. Ooh, that is so pretty. Oh, that's very, very nice. Very cool. They don't make like nightgowns and slips like they used to. Like it used to be sort of a common thing. So the one I've decided that I'm going to wear in my imagination as I do this episode is this. I'm going to wear this thing. Look at this. This is fantastic. I'd have to wear something underneath it because I'm not a total hoe, at least not anymore. But it's so pretty. I love it. I love it. Did you guys see this video? You're going to see it now. So there was a comet that went over Portugal the other day. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. And this girl was getting ready to do a TikTok or a live stream or whatever kids do these days online with their phones. But look, she's hanging out and all of a sudden, wow, there goes the comet overhead. A bright, bright blue comet, blue-green. Which is wild. I think I don't think I'd be able to speak for like a full hour if I saw something like this. Dialing back to several episodes ago where we were on a kick about the Richat structure, I just wanted to show you some other things I found using a different map program where the detail is more intense. So clearly we see signs of human habitation, and if you're wondering what I'm talking about by Richat, it's that thing, that eyeball-looking thing. Which reminds me, Bright Insight just came out with a video, and they're really staking, like, this guy's really staking his whole, like, reputation on the fact that this is at, like, Atlantis. Like, he's just going at it, like, full freaking bore. And I think he has points that are correct, which is how this has ended up on what I find interesting this week, because I was I was listening to it. It's not necessarily Atlantis, but it could have been an advanced civilization that once lived there, that was washed away by a flood that is not recognized or talked about. Because one of the things is like, if you look here at the map and you see all these striations, kind of like going, like, what does that make you think of? That makes you think of like a rush of water coming in and just washing out that whole area. So I'm not really sure what my point is with all of that, except that there's enough compelling evidence, I think, to investigate the area more thoroughly using modern methods like LiDAR and stuff. And I know it's expensive and it's in the middle of nowhere, but I think it would be worth it to find out, how far back does habitation go? Did people live here? Were they advanced? Were they primitive? When I see things like this, is that natural? It doesn't look natural to me. It looks man-made. It looks like a dam, right? And then if you look, you have all this flow here from this choke point. Is this, it might be natural. I don't know. There's all kinds of weird, crazy things in the world that are natural that don't look natural. And this is Tumiyat. And there's like nothing there. I'm going to look that up for a second. Tumiyat. Let's see what we get. Tumiyat, near Morocco. That's what it looks like. It looks like nothing. It looks like nothing. There's nothing there. Okay. Okay. Before we move on from the Richat, remember we were watching this woman. Her name is Itchy Boots. So for 5 years, she's been traversing Africa on a motorcycle, and she went through the Richat structure. And here she is, lying on the ground, just having crashed her motorcycle. And what had happened is, hang on, let me go to the part where it happens. Is she broke her collarbone. snapped it, basically. And so she's showing where she hit that thing. Let me show you her face so you can see what she looks like. She's a very pretty lady. I like her. She's got to be very tough. I mean, she's going through an area where it's predominantly men. I believe most of the religions through that area, a woman is supposed to be a certain way, and she's obviously very much not that way, especially being independent and riding across Africa on a motorcycle. But she crashed her motorcycle and snapped her collarbone. Now, as an aside, there's another video after this, which you can watch this. I would thoroughly recommend watching some of the videos. They're very entertaining, and she's knowledgeable, and she's kind, and she wrote a book too, which so far right now, as far as I understand, is only in Dutch, but she's looking at translators, hopefully. When they were fixing her collarbone in this hospital in Africa, they somehow managed to puncture her lung and then told her she was fine and sent her home. So she's home, like, thinking, like, I am very much not fine. And then they discovered that she punctured her lung. Yeah. Also this week, I'm not going to play it, but I will mention it, is Terrence Howard on the Joe Rogan Experience. Joe Rogan's a little righty-tighty to me, but he's come a long way in terms of his show and his thinking, and I do think his own mind has been broadened by what he does. But he has Terrence Howard on there, and Terrence Howard talks a good talk. Like, I was listening to him, and I'm like, wow, this man's a genius. But then I went back and I watched stuff that debunked what he said, because I think it's important to look at both sides. And the other side is like, wow, this man's very much not a genius. But regardless of which camp you're in, it's entertaining to watch parts of it, because he goes way like so far out, farther than almost any person I've seen in recent times. So I have some music. I don't think I'm really in the mood to play it today, but I am gonna put it in the links, and it's kind of the stuff, like the independent stuff. I like to share stuff that only has a couple views or a couple subscribers because I like it, or I dig it, or because I think the person deserves more attention. And there's some stuff in here that I think is good, including my guy. He's got a video for that song I really like. Let me play it, in case you forgot. I love this song. So this song is actually, when I think about it, it's not really about a specific person, really. It's more like an archetype, and I'll explain what I mean. So what I mean is that we all get kicked around in life, right? We all have bad things that happen to us. We all suffer grief, craziness, chaos, loss, so many different things, so many horrible emotions that we experience as humans. But if we're able to go through it, like really go through it, it helps to make us better people, and helps to make our current lives richer. For being a hoe. So, I just like it. I think that it just, just speaks to like overcoming stuff. Like, yeah, you tried to bring me down. You tried to like do me wrong. But in the end, I persevered. So when I play that song and I say I like it, it's not directed towards a specific person out there who might even be watching. It's just general. Like all the bad things that happened to me, I've tried to incorporate them into myself and create good stuff out of it as best as I can. I'm a depressed mess most days, sure, but I think I've done a pretty good job with what I've got. All right, we're gonna bug out over some stuff that I got for you. As you know, I'm big into medieval stuff. This is a Kickstarter to make medieval cat pins, and there was a $759 goal, And this person has far, far, far exceeded it. And I have a notation here to back this project myself, because I love medieval cats. I think it's really cool that it's like $8,000 and the person only was looking for like $800. So what's the deal with medieval cats? I don't know. I just freaking love them. I just think medieval art is just, it's so interesting to me. I can't explain it. But if we look at something like this, and it takes a minute to come in because it's so detailed. So this is a book. I'm not sure which one. What is this? This is the... it's a book of hours. So let's look up Book of Hours so I can explain specifically what that is. The Book of Hours began to appear in the 13th century, containing prayers to be said at the canonical hours in honor of the Virgin Mary. It was a religious book. It usually had the calendar of church feasts, extracts from the four Gospels, the mass readings for major feasts, and what else? Litany of Saints, Office for the Dead, Hours of the Cross. So it had, like sort of the most important parts of, say, the Bible put into a book that could be used and read. And they were incredibly detailed, as we see here. So here we have the text, but if we look, like we've got like a little dude. That's a pregnant woman with her horse. And there's the guy. Just absolute eye candy, right? Up here we have a deer being chased by another deer, except the deer has a nun's head for a head. So it doesn't have a deer head, it has a nun's head on the body of a deer. This person is holding something. We go even over here. In the corner, we have a little dragon. Look at all these like squiggles and lines. Just incredible. This is another one I found that, oh no, that's not another one I found. This is something different. This was a book of palmistry. So palmistry's been around since medieval times, probably way earlier, but I thought that this was kind of cool. I did palmistry for like a little bit. I thought I was into all that kind of stuff, palmistry, tarot cards, whatever. I went through a phase, I did. But I do think that there are things that you can see in people's hands, just the way that they use them, the way that they grab things, the shape of their nails, the condition of their nails. Like if one were to look at my hands, one would say, okay, this is a woman who is clearly not vain about her nails. But you could see that I have like little nervous habits, right? I pick at my cuticles. You can see that they're really muscled and a little gnarly from like arthritis. So you can see that I've used my hands a lot. They're very red and healthy. I have good circulation. I mean, I don't know. But I did. I used to read palms. But it was more like a bar trick, because like, you're 22, 23, you're in the bar and you're sitting next to a guy and you're like, I'll read your palm. I don't know. It worked at the time, I swear. It's so silly to even think about. This is the Universal Viewer, is a community-developed open source project and a mission to help you share your content with the world. And I bookmarked it because it looks like something that should or could be important, but I'm not sure what to do with any of it. Like, I don't know what I'm even looking at or what this is, but we've got code, actions, extensible, video, audio. Like, I'm not sure what this is, but there seems to be a lot going on. That's potentially very cool. join the UV Stack. Is anybody on Stack? Anybody heard about Stack? All right. I sent a request to be invited, so they'll probably invite me. They want my money. Well, not my money, just, This is another cool medieval illustration I found in the corner. So we have all this text. Oh, look, there's a little cat up there. Look at him. He's kind of cute. Oh, there he is. Hello, little lion. We need to save him. We're going to save him. There you go. Uh-oh, did it not save? I don't know if I saved it. I have it bookmarked. I can come back to it later. Look, they have all these people sticking their heads out of the castle. We have this incredible tapestry-like background that has gold in it. And then we have this person with a fishing net. I'm not really sure what's happening there, but there's another person with their hawk. It's really neat. So in addition to looking at medieval art this week, I was also looking at, I think this is, hang on, I think we're still in medieval art. Yeah, so I was looking at this thing, which I just think is very neat. So here we have Christ, angel, a bird. I'm not sure what the bird represents. Cow with wings? Sure, why not? And a lion. And this is supposed to represent the universe, like the cosmos. Here's a little article that talks about what this means a little bit. I'm more interested in the picture at the bottom. I think the picture at the bottom is really funny. So as I was saying, in addition to looking at medieval art, I was looking at frescoes in churches. And I was marveling at how strange some of them are and how colorful some of them are. Like this is very strange, right? It's kind of, imagine you're at church, you're praying, and you've got that over your head. Then you've got something like this, like, oh, look at that blue. That's not medieval, but it's a fresco in a church. This album is just strictly like frescoes. So some are medieval, some are not. Some are more modern. This is a fresco that I kind of fell in love with, and then I was shocked to see where it's located, and I think you might be shocked to see where it's located too. So let's look at some of these images. I love how death is like, ha 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 ha, I'm going to get you, sucker. We have the skeleton, the king skeleton, and he's flanked by two other skeletons, both with weapons. You see the people below making offerings to King Death. Please don't take me, or whatever it is. But then, look where it is. It's like on the outside of a building. Like a very strange building, too. It's the Trifona della Morte a Danse Macabre Oratorio del Disciplini. Let me see if there's any more pictures of this place. Let's go to Bergamo. So it looks like Bergamo is a very ancient city with a lot of... Wow, look at that. Yeah, we're going to have to save that one for another time. Not for today, but for another time. That looks like a cool city to investigate. This is another little thing that I found. Look how weird they all look. Look at Jesus. Presumably that's, what's his face? Judas with the red hair. The perspective, the background, it's just so eccentric to me. It's very unusual. I love it so much. I can't even explain why. Can I save it? I can. Look at that. This is a fresco that I found. I almost said fresco. I do like fresco, but this is a fresco with these two dudes, and they're both pointing. But the gesture of one is like, it's not even like you don't. It's universal. Like it transcends language. If you saw someone and they were doing this, you would know that they were perhaps a little overwhelmed or confused about something, which clearly this man is. I'm not sure what's going on over here that's got him this way, but he's a little overwhelmed. A man posing with a donkey in his lap. I think this is just a beautiful picture. And I really like donkeys. I think they have interesting personalities, and they're just very sweet and affectionate. I mean, if they're raised right. If they're raised wrong, they could really mess you up. If I had a farm and I had enough money to have people to help me, I would have donkeys. Oh, what is that? Is that a bug? What the heck? You know what it is I have the door open, so they're coming in from outside. Okay. Cincinnati Art Museum. This is Van Gogh. This is one of my favorite Van Gogh paintings. And potentially one of my favorite I mean, it's definitely in my top 50. Maybe my top 25. But the purple of the trees juxtaposed against the almost electric green of the grass, and then the two people who are sort of indistinguishable and almost melt into the trees. This is a gorgeous Van Gogh painting that makes me very happy to gaze upon it. I got that picture from this album. This is the Cincinnati Art Museum, and this is someone's personal album of pictures that they particularly like or felt drawn to from the Cincinnati Art Museum. So that'll be in the links. You can look at it if you want. There's some other beautiful paintings to look at, like this one. This one takes my breath away, and it kind of brings to mind the Dutch pictures from like the late 1600s, the way the light is, but it's also sort of gauzy and hazy, like impressionistic. So it's very, very cool. This might be this one would definitely maybe my top 100. Not that anybody really cares. I'm over here arguing with myself on where art is going to rank for me, when the reality is it probably changes every minute of every day. This guy, this is a painting in the Cincinnati Art Museum, and his hair, I guess maybe that was the style. Back then, that's kind of a goofy haircut. But he's holding this block, a printing block. See, it says A. He's holding it in his hands. And this was painted by, was it painted by Charles Wilson Peale. Oh, so Peale painted a lot of people. And you've definitely seen some of his stuff out there because it shows up in history books, and when they're referencing famous people, here are some of his portraits. This is probably his most well-known portrait or picture, painting, whatever, would be this one. Throughout his long life, Charles Wilson Peale continually strove to improve the civic and artistic life of both his adopted city and the young republic. Besides founding 2 art academies, including the Pennsylvania Academy and the nation's first museum, he was the patriarch of an artistic dynasty that carried out his ideals. Peale thus disseminated culture both within the family sphere and in the wider world. Nowhere is this more apparent than in this remarkable self-portrait he executed at the age of 81. With more than a touch of the showman, Peale literally raises the curtain to reveal the wonders of his collection, then located in the Long Gallery of Independence Hall. That is wicked cool. Okay, but who was Francis Bailey? Francis Bailey was an early American printer, publisher, and journalist. He began publication of the Lancaster Almanac in Lancaster, PA in 1771 and published the United States Magazine in 1778. In 1781, he became editor of the Freeman's Journal. He printed editions of the Articles of Confederation, Thomas Paine's Common Sense. He was big into, he was the first printer to refer to George Washington in print as the father of his country, which is kind of cool, right? So he was kind of a big deal. He was the media during the time when America was sort of coming together and coalescing, and we were figuring out who we are as a country and what we wanted and what we didn't want. He was there, printing it all, doing the thing. Pretty cool, right? Okay, now we're heading into part 2 of stuff I find interesting, episode 63. So the Voyager 1, which was sent in 46 years ago, so 1974, I think? No. 1977? Something like that. It was sent in the 70s into outer space. And it has been known to kind of glitch out. Did you know there's supposedly antifreeze in Mountain Dew? Yeah, okay. For the moment, Voyager is sending back only health data about its onboard systems, but further work should get the scientific instruments back online. It's more than 15 billion miles away, and it's so distant that its radio messages take a full 22.5 hours to reach us. But still, they reach us 15 billion miles away. Little radio wave going through space. This just blows my mind to think about. It was launched from Earth in 1977 on a tour of the outer planets, but then just kept going. It moved beyond the bubble of gas emitted by the sun, a domain known as the heliosphere, in 2012, and is now embedded in interstellar space, which contains the gas, dust, and magnetic fields from other stars. A corrupted chip has been blamed for the aging spacecraft's recent woes. This prevented Voyager's computers from accessing a vital segment of software code used to package information for transmission to Earth. For a period of time, engineers could get no sense whatsoever out of Voyager, even though they could tell the spacecraft was still receiving their commands and otherwise operating normally. The issue was resolved by shifting the affected code to different locations in the memory of the probe's computers. Wild. And it's now so far away that it can hear the background hum of interstellar space. And what does that sound like? You know you want to know. Hang on, let me... There we go, that's better. Right? Is that better? Can you hear me okay? So, this is what interstellar space sounds like. I don't hear anything. Do you hear anything? Are we supposed to hear something? What's going on there? There we go. That is the hum of interstellar space. And now you know. Spain's Excalibur sword, a 1,000-year-old weapon, was found buried upright and reflects the region's rich Islamic history. Discovered in Valencia in 1994, the iron blade was recently dated to the 10th century, when the Umayyad Caliphate controlled the Iberian Peninsula. So this sword was found buried upright. How cool is that? And at the time, Valencia was called Valencia. Like Valencia. Oh, come on. Whatever. Valencia's Arab legacy runs so deep that it extends beyond its architectural monumental expressions. It remains entrenched in the soul of the city and its inhabitants, and reflected in how Valencians are and live, and how they work, and the field and water it with an ancestral irrigation system. It is found in the language, in the places of the names of the places, and 1,000 details that showcase the indelible mark left on this land by more than 5 centuries of Muslim presence. Because before it was Valencia, it was Valencia, a city that was loved and then longed for by Islamic culture. So it just goes to show places change, right, in terms of who lives there and whatnot, but it's cool to think about. The greatest moment of splendor of Arab Valencia came with the enthronement of Abd al-Aziz in the year 1021. His reign gave birth to the Taifa of Valencia, which lasted for more than 4 decades. His great legacy was the construction of a walled perimeter much admired throughout Al-Andalus, and which stood until the Christian expansion of the 14th century. Decades later, and under El-Cid's short stint as the city's Lord Master, the Islamic rule passed from the Almoravids to the Almohads, but without the clout of the years of greatness. They were the last Muslim administrators and would soon see their prized stronghold fall to the troops of Jom I, the conquering king. Probably massacred those words. But very fascinating. Looks like there's a whole bunch of history here that might be cool to look at a different time. So this week is the week that I found the houses that I want to buy when I'm rich, which is never going to happen. But if I was, this is the house. I guess Anne Boleyn lived here for a time. And it's the inside that's the real showstopper. We're having issues here. It's not loading. There we go. Huh. These are just some architectural details. But wow. Look at that. Wood everywhere. Big open windows. Original hinges, knobs, wrought iron railing up the spiral staircase. Stunning. Look at that. Oh, man. This picture takes my breath away. I feel like I've seen some movies shot here. Right? This looks like remember that film with Nicole Kidman where she was in a house and she could see the people that lived there, but they couldn't see her? I feel like this is... It also kind of reminds me of... what was that? Jonathan Strange and Dr. Norrell. Some of those spots. Very beautiful house. So then I started checking out the site because it's just absolute eye candy. And this is a character house. I'm not sure what that means, but it's in Maroxite near Palma. With almond trees as far as the eye can see, the warm caress of the Tramontane wind and mountains in the horizon, this 100-acre farming property in the area around Palma illustrates Majorcan authenticity and its pleasant way of life. This vast residence, reminiscent of a traditional hacienda, was built to guarantee not only the running of the estate, but also the prestige and comfort of its owners. We can see we have a courtyard. It's just, I love this house. It's very strange. I like strange houses. Look at that table. That table's probably really old. Yeah, I think I could probably deal with living there. I'm not sure why I saved this. This is where I... yeah. Something about the mystery of the Eichler Atrium. There's like... What is this? it's like a whole really long article, and I don't know what that is. So I was in the process of Googling it actually when my guy announced that he was leaving for a little bit to go to work. And I was like, well, if he's leaving for a little bit, I could do my thing, which this right here you're watching is my thing. So I rushed to do it, and here I am. But like I said, on the back end, I'm not quite as prepared. It's a design milestone, and it became the Eichler home's most popular feature. What makes a house in Eichler? Open floor plans, post and beam construction, floor-to-ceiling glass windows. So I guess it's something that an architect made and sort of it got named after him. That's a feature. When people think of Eichlers, they often think of the atrium. Although not all Eichler models feature atria, these room-sized open spaces may be their most distinctive design feature. When you walk through the front door and step back into the indoors, you know you are entering a unique home with a personality all its own. At first, you may be surprised, even delighted, for your typical expectations of home design are turned inside out. Whatever reaction you have, the Eichler atrium dares you to deal with it on its own terms. Unconventional? Absolutely. Dramatic? Always. Practical? Well, not particularly. Let's see if there's any video of here, Eichler interactive tour. Let's see, video tour of a courtyard. All right. I'm not going to find one. I was trying to find one so we could, I'm sure there had to be. Let's see, 360. All right. Well, let's just find some pictures, shall we? So if you ever have seen the movie with, what's that movie where the Brendan Fraser goes into the underground bunker with his parents and grows up under there because his parents think the world has been bombed, but it hasn't. And then this is the house that I think of. It's kind of like that. Anyway, I digress. Moving on from the atrium. I don't remember if I shared this last time. I might have, because we were talking about stone structures. This is not sure what this is. I know it's in the Himalayas. Convention center, prayer center. Oh, I really dig it, though. It's cool, right? Very modern. Moving on from architecture, someone posted this 9 days ago, and this is the place where I work. Look at this incredible picture. So you might say, okay, well, where do you work? Let's see if there's anything that's where Met talks about. I said it's a he, it could be a she. Or a they. Oh, they don't really talk about it. Well, that's okay because we have, boom, underground Munich. These stairs are the entrance to Munich's underworld. They lead down to the masonry canal that was built in 1912. So this is about the underground of Munich. Growing mushrooms down there. That's something I didn't mention when I was talking about the character houses, the one that Anne Boleyn lived in. In the description of the house, it talks about underground tunnels. So that definitely caught my attention, but I didn't get very far. Let's see. Oh no, doesn't really go into it other than. But clearly that was a picture of some sort of cistern or irrigation thing. Every episode, I have to talk a little bit about stuff that's happening in the climate because I think it's important to talk about. Ocean water is rushing miles underneath the Doomsday Glacier with potentially dire impacts on sea level rise. Now, if the Doomsday Glacier were to collapse, sea levels would rise 10 feet. Ultimately, in the short term, it would be like 2 feet, which doesn't sound like much, but it's kind of a big deal. So what's happening with this glacier is water has gotten underneath it. So you have the melting that's happening from the top, and then underneath the water is, it's made like these channels and these tunnels, and it's just going through, and every time the water goes through, it takes a little bit more pieces of the ice with it because of the water pressure and whatnot. So here we can see the view of the tidal motion. This is the glacier, and what you're looking at under here is the water as it loops through. If we look here on the back end, it's pretty clear that at some point it's probably going to bust through there and spill out that way. They observe seawater pushing beneath the glacier over many miles and then moving out again, following the daily rhythm of the tides. When the water flows in, it's enough to jack up the surface of the glacier by centimeters. The speed of the seawater, which moves considerable distances over a short time period, increases glacier melt because as soon as the ice melts, fresh water is washed out and replaced with warmer seawater. But regardless what you think of climate change, it exists, it's happening, we've accelerated it. It's something we're going to have to deal with. Like, I feel like we're not really dealing with it. There was an article this week about how insurance companies in Florida are pulling out, saying, sorry, can't insure you. You live in Florida. Same thing with parts of Texas. They're saying, sorry, can't insure you. You live in that part of Texas. You're basically uninsurable because we know you're going to get flooded out at some point very soon. Kind of scary. But it doesn't need to be scary, right? We just need to adjust to it, and we're not. We're clinging to stuff. Okay, enough. Moving on. Antony Gormley's Time Horizon, 100 life-size sculptures across 300 acres. What am I talking about? So this guy sculpted these metal men, and they're placed all over Houghton Hall. And he says that they're like the acupuncture points on a body. There's one in the main foyer. Here's the artist himself next to one of his creations. It has been an extraordinary experience witnessing the installation of 100 life-size sculptures in the historic landscape surrounding the house. It is a great privilege to have the opportunity to show this large-scale work by Antony Gormley for the first time in the UK. We hope visitors will enjoy exploring Houghton and the interesting dynamic between Time Horizon and our exhibition of Magdalene Odondo's ceramic and glasswork, which will open in May. Antony Gormley is one of the most important artists of his generation and is widely acclaimed for his sculptures, installations, and public artworks that investigate the relationship of the human body to space. The thing that I find interesting that they're not talking about. Houghton Hall is a country house in the parish of Houghton in Norfolk, England. It is the residence of the 7th Marquess of Cholmondeley. So Lady Rose Hanbury lives at Houghton Hall. Now, why do I bring that up? I bring that up because William, we're talking about Prince William, was accused of cheating on Kate with Rose. So it's rumored that she had an affair with Prince William. Now, Kate Middleton, Princess Catherine, has not been seen since December, other than AI photos. And Rose Hanbury has shown up to no less than 3 major events where either she or her son was basically right in the middle of the ceremony, where Kate Middleton would be if she was feeling better. So, or I don't even know. It's very strange. Like, I don't really, I'm not going to say I never followed the royal family, because I always have, because they're such a source of drama, right? And there's the history behind it. There's something very, very, very strange going on, besides 100 life-size sculptures littering the estate. Something very strange. And she's probably not having an affair. I'm like, buying into this horrible stuff. And, but something happened. Something happened. I guarantee it. And then there was that guy who committed, what is Thomas Kingston? Hang on. It was rumored that Kate Middleton may have had an affair with this guy, and that's why he committed suicide. Did he commit suicide? I don't know. I mean, it says he did. He died from a catastrophic head injury with a gun found nearby. Police confirm the death as non-suspicious. Well, irregardless whether you buy into the gossip, not the gossip, any of it, it just goes to show that you can have all the money, all the prestige in the world, and still be absolutely miserable and want to kill yourself. Like, it doesn't matter. Depression is depression. Whether you have $5 or $5 billion. And there have been times in my life when I've been more successful than other times. And sometimes the being more successful was stressful, because you had to be at a certain kind of level. And that takes work and energy. So this talks about Houghton Hall. This will be in the links. What's the history? When was it erected? Who was it erected for? Who's lived there? It talks about the museum that's there. Who designed it? It's cool. It's cool. This is a new AI. It's called Perplexity. Let's ask it something. What should we ask it? Where is Kate Middleton? Based on the search results provided, Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, is currently taking time away from public duties and appearances as she undergoes treatment for cancer. Here are the key details. In summary, she's residing privately, likely at her Anmer Hall home in Norfolk or the Sandringham estate, as she prioritizes her health and recovery from cancer treatment away from public treatments. That might be true. That might be true. She just might have cancer and not want to deal with people. I can respect that. It just feels as though there's a part that we're not privy to. Maybe it's way more serious. Moving on. Bouvet Island. Bouvet Island caught my attention because at one point there was an abandoned lifeboat found on Bouvet Island, which is the most remote island in the world. What is that? Is that my cat? What is she doing? Okay. She's just being a cat. So I was like, why would there be a lifeboat? Located 1,404 miles away from the nearest humans, the 271 people who live on the island of Tristan da Cunha, which is incidentally the most remote inhabited island in the world, Bouvet is not without life, but its vegetation is limited to lichens and mosses, and its only fauna are seals, seabirds, and penguins. For anyone who does end up near Bouvet, it's still incredibly difficult to actually set foot on the island due to the high glacial cliffs that surround it. The best way is to fly in from a helicopter and then land. It's an ice-covered, glacier-surrounded, inhospitable lump, yet it has been an object of national desire, had at least 3 different names, and is even caught up in a mysterious episode of international intrigue. In 1964, an abandoned lifeboat was discovered on the island along with various supplies. However, the boat's passengers were never found. Also, in 1979, a bright flash of light was seen between Bouvet and Prince Edward Islands by the United States Vela satellite. Known as the Vela incident, it is now believed that the flash was caused by a secret South African-Israeli joint nuclear bomb detonation, though neither country has officially admitted to such. The claim didn't stick. The island was discovered by John Baptiste Charles Bouvet in 1739, and then it wasn't seen again until 1808. It was rediscovered by James Lindsay. And then another guy found it, 1825. A whaler, Captain Norris, found it, named it Liverpool Island, and claimed it for the British Crown. But then Norway landed on it and said, no, this is our rock, and they named it Buvatoya. Since then, the island has remained in Norwegian control and is occasionally used by scientific parties for monitoring whale migration. So getting back to the abandoned lifeboat, here's where Bouvet is. You can see there's the tip of South America. It's like way, way out there. So the boat, no, they did find it. Yes. There were 10 scientists and crew members on the raft that landed there on the island. The weather got bad, and they hunkered down, and they were taken away. They were withdrawn by helicopter. So they went in to do like scientific stuff. They had the lifeboat with them, and then the lifeboat got left behind because of bad weather coming in and them leaving by helicopter. There you have it. This is an article that I thought was pretty good. Sometimes I like to read long reads just to remind myself I can read more than one page. But this is kind of a sad story. After Zach Bretler mysteriously plummeted into the Thames, his grieving parents discovered he'd been posing as an oligarch's son. Would the police help them solve the mystery of his death? And you can listen to it. You can listen to the story if you don't feel like reading it. After Zach Bretler died, his parents struggled to decode the mystery of what had happened to him. They thought they could pinpoint the moment he started to change 3 years earlier when at 16 he began boarding at Mill Hill School in North London. By 2018, Zach had tired of boarding, and for his final year of high school, he transferred to Ashbourne College in Kensington because it was closer to home. So apparently he got wrapped up with a wealthy businessman in his 40s. Started doing business stuff. It talks about what happened to him. So, just kind of a sad story. But now we are getting into conspiracy land. I thought this was interesting. What's with the bells? These are supposedly images of bells. This is on the Tartaria website. Confiscated by Nazis, the stated purpose of this operation was to melt down and repurpose the metals for ammunition. And you can see the bells. I guess these people are saying that there's some kind of conspiracy, that there's so many bells. Like, where do the bells come from? Why do the bells exist? We've talked about bells before. Compare church windows to cymatic sound frequencies, then you will see certain frequencies have healing properties. When organs played or the bells rung, they were not just for a pretty sound. Some scholars have a Q theory that the old cathedrals were never meant for a place of worship, but a place of healing. Just as temples weren't built for worship, but to gain knowledge about the universe and Earth, they harvested Earth and or universe's energy to contact civilizations around the universe. So it goes off into kind of conspiracy land, but as I always say, there is truth. All conspiracies, it's somewhere in there is a little bit of truth. And there's definitely weird stuff with bells in man's past. And by weird stuff, I just mean that I think they were more important or used more broadly, or humans maybe understood the relationship to sound or the effects of sound on a person's body. I think I've shared this story before. I went to a weekend retreat, and it was all about sound. And we meditated, and we made different sounds. And different sounds, when done in unison with a group of people, did create a certain effect within the body. It was wild. And after that first day of exercises and doing sound stuff, I had the best night's sleep of my life that I've ever had in my entire life. In this very humble bed, in a very humble retreat center, and in Huntington, was it Huntington? Hunter, up in Hunter Mountain. Very cool stuff. So bells. Maybe we'll talk about bells again at some point, bells and organs. I think there's something there. But for right now, we're going to talk about August 27th, 1958. Operation Argus creates first anthropogenic space weather. 60 years ago this month, well, not this month because this is in July, a fleet of 9 U.S. Navy ships with 4,500 people aboard maneuvered into the Atlantic. 8 of these ships continued into the South Atlantic, about 1,800 kilometers southwest of Cape Town, South Africa, while the 9th headed into North Atlantic near the Azores. This clandestine military operation, codenamed Operation Argus, was not an invasion, but a scientific mission, carried out at a staggering pace and inspired by an unpublished research paper by an elevator engineer with an interest in accelerator physics. Secrecy was critical considering the nature of the mission, detonating multiple low-yield nuclear weapons high in the atmosphere to study the explosion's effects on the Earth's magnetosphere. The task force launched 3 1.7 kiloton bombs on August 27th, August 30th, and September 6th, detonating them at 200, 240, and 540 kilometers. And the experiments marked the first time that humans altered space weather. What? Did you know we launched freaking nuclear weapons into outer space to try to change the space weather of space? So this guy who worked for elevators was intrigued not only by the potentially perilous effects on electronics, the radiation belt. He was fascinated with the Van Allen radiation belt. But he thought that radiation could perhaps also serve a protective role. So he worked for an elevator maintenance company, but in his spare time he studied physics. He wrote several papers about the strong focusing principle, which describes how powerful magnets can be used to focus a beam of charged particles. However, he never published any of his research. Instead, he patented the idea and sent copies of his theories to scientists, and the paper was passed from scientist to scientist without being understood or appreciated. And he ended up getting a job at Brookhaven and was involved with this project. So they wondered if the dome of energized particles could be used defensively to disable the electronics of incoming enemy aircraft or warheads. Or maybe the trapped particles will interfere with communications and enemy outgoing missile launches. Some also thought it could be used as an offensive weapon. If so, setting off explosions over the Indian Ocean might create an offensive shield over Russia, diminishing their military capabilities. It talks about the Van Allen belt, which is the magnetic field that helps protect us. And it says that the initial flash of the burst was followed by an auroral luminescence extending upward and downward along the magnetic line where the burst occurred, simultaneously at the point where the same magnetic line returns to Earth's atmosphere In the North Atlantic, another auroral luminescence appeared in the night sky near the Azores Islands. Just wild to think that we did this. Declassifying Argus. Here's some more information. Here's the summary. Basic idea. If you shot a nuclear warhead off in the upper atmosphere, it would create an artificial radiation field similar to the Van Allen radiation belts that surround the planet, and it would, in essence, create a shell of electrons in the planet. The tactical advantage is that you could use this knowledge to knock out enemy missiles and satellites that were coming in. So they gave it a test, and it worked. So, wow, I didn't know that. But wait, there's more. An unearthly spectacle, the untold story of the world's nuclear bomb. So that was 1958. This is 1961. In the early hours of October 30th, 1961, a bomber took off from an airstrip in northern Russia and began its flight through the cloudy skies over the frigid Arctic island of Novaya Zemlya. Slung below the plane's belly was a nuclear bomb the size of a small school bus, the largest and most powerful bomb ever created. At 11:32 a.m., the bombardier released the weapon. As the bomb fell, an enormous parachute unfurled to slow its descent, giving the pilot time to retreat to a safe distance. A minute or so later, the bomb detonated. A cameraman watching from the island recalled, a fire-red ball of enormous size rose and grew. It grew larger and larger, and when it reached enormous size, it went up. Behind it, like a funnel, the whole earth seemed to be drawn in. The sight was fantastic, unreal, and the fireball looked like some other planet. It was an unearthly spectacle. The flash alone lasted more than a minute. The fireball expanded to nearly 6 miles in diameter. Over several minutes, it rose and mushroomed into a massive cloud. Within 10 minutes, it had reached a height of 42 miles and a diameter of some 60 miles. One civilian witness remarked that it was as if the earth was killed. Decades later, the weapon would be given the name it was most commonly known by today, Tsar Bomba, meaning Emperor Bomb. This is a still frame from the experiment. It had a maximum explosive yield of 100 megatons, and it was 60,000 pounds. It was 3,300 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb, and 40 times more powerful than the largest nuclear bomb in the U.S. arsenal today. Scary to think about. This shows on the left-hand side here, you see the little bombs. That shows how powerful the bomb is. So here we have Hiroshima represented by 15 kilotons. But as we scroll down, Castle Bravo and here we have the Tsar Bomba. And the Tsar Bomba, the little bombs just keep going and 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 going. So this talks about the huge nuclear weapons that exist and how they were made and who made them and what they could do, and are the United States testing, and much of the memo, much of this stuff remains classified as far as what the United States has. Hang on, there was something in here I wanted to share. Yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. Nuclear weapons. It's kind of scary. Nuclear energy, though, is kind of cool. We should probably explore that a little bit more. Get rid of oil. Earth, the science behind the headlines. This is just different articles that you could just bug out over and look at. They're older, but the cool thing about them being older is that you can get information that you might not necessarily be able to readily find now because of the way the algorithms of the internet are set up. It's all set up to drive people to spend money and just consume, not necessarily to learn. The learning stuff is harder to find. I know I go on about this every time, but as someone who's been on the internet since the very beginning, it's kind of aggravating, you know. Alternative energy. You know, let's see. Let's find something. Ancient Egypt. Andes Mountains, Antarctica. A mysterious first. Let's click on that. Oh, that's when women sailed around the Antarctic. Women sailed around the sub-Antarctic islands well before Carolyn Michelson or Ingrid Christensen journeys, usually accompanying their sailor husbands. Maori navigators are known to have traveled these waters for centuries. Although Christensen and Michelson are credited with Antarctic first, some people think another woman may have come before. In her book, Women on the Ice, Elizabeth Chipman, an Australian writer who visited and worked in Antarctica in the 1960s and 70s, writes of a woman who was shipwrecked on Campbell Island, 700 kilometers south of New Zealand in 1835. The woman was rescued 4 years later by two sailing ships that then sailed farther south toward the Antarctic mainland. Perhaps those on board got a glimpse of the icy continent. On the way back to England, however, one of the ships was lost at sea, and she died. As the woman's name wasn't recorded in the log of the surviving ship, her story and her potential first is lost to history. Could you imagine? You're shipwrecked for 4 years. You get saved. The ship crashes and you die. I can't. Oh my God. Continuing along with this nuclear theme, 1962, Starship Prime was a high-altitude nuclear test conducted by the United States, a joint effort of the Atomic Energy Commission and Defense Atomic Support Agency. It was launched from the Johnson Atoll on July 9, 1962, and was the largest nuclear test conducted in outer space and one of 5 conducted by the U.S. in space, which includes the other 3 that I talked about. A Thor rocket containing a W-49 thermonuclear warhead, designed at Los Alamos, was launched from the Johnson Atoll in the Pacific Ocean about 900 miles west-southwest of Hawaii. The explosion took place at an altitude of 250 miles above a point 19 miles southwest of Johnson Atoll. It had a yield of 1.4 megatons. The explosion was about 10 degrees above the horizon as seen from Hawaii. This is a bunch of tests that have names like Operation Fishbowl, Operation Dominic, other nuclear tests, Yucca, Teak, Orange, Argus. The explosion released roughly 10 to the 29th power electrons into the Earth's magnetic sphere. While some of the energetic beta particles followed the Earth's magnetic field and illuminated sky, other high-energy electrons became trapped. Come on, baby. I have a cat. Oh, there we go. What are we doing? Hey, what's going on? What are you doing? This is Spaz. Everybody say hi, Spaz. Say hi, Spaz. And my partner went away, and he's like everything to her. This is like his gal. So she's sad. So she's jumping on me. She's like, where's Papa? I want to annoy him. Okay. All right. So anyway, these electrons that we're talking about that went into the atmosphere as a result of Starship Prime, they remained in the atmosphere for 5 years. That's kind of a long time. So, anyway. Let's look at where Johnston Atoll is. Oh, she wants to talk into the microphone. There's the microphone. She probably wants to eat it. If you look on this side, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a big chunk missing on this that I have on this side, and it's where she got it. So Johnston Island, well, that doesn't look too bad. That looks kind of pretty, right? Got this beautiful water, a wildlife refuge. Sweet, right? Oh, man, no. Look at how far away that is from everything. That's very far. Hi, kitty. Okay. I guess I have a cat right now. That's okay. So this is what it looks like. These are some photos. Very remote. I would not want to be stationed there. I would freak out. I can't be on an island far away from land like that. I can't. I would lose my mind. Just thinking of all that water around me and like nowhere to go. I have nightmares about that. I found this picture while I was looking up nuclear weapons and whatnot. This isn't about nuclear weapons, but this is an aerial view of the trenches from World War II. And these are in... Where are these located? This is from... I want to say France, but I'm not actually sure. It's horrible to think about that there were men in there hiding, getting trench foot and all manner of diseases to defend the front. All right. What type of sink for a chronic masturbator? Fed boy asking for a friend. The title is a little offensive. I apologize for that. But what is the best synth for you based on your Myers-Briggs personality type? And I was like, yeah, what is my Myers-Briggs personality type? It used to be INFP or whatever the rarest one is. I used to be that. But I'm not that anymore. Now, INFJ it is. Now I'm an ENFP. Campaigners are enthusiastic, creative, and sociable free spirits who can always find a reason to smile. Well, yeah, partly. I mean, yeah, but then there's the flip side of it. It's, then there's the flip side. So, but it says I'm extroverted, intuitive, feeling, prospecting, and turbulent. That's me. View your profile. Ta-da! All right. Anyway, the best synth. Okay, so if I'm a ENFP, I want an expressive E-Osmos synthesizer. It's one of the most unique and expressive synths on the market. So that's for me. Let's see what it looks like, what it sounds like.
Hi. Now, while the main advance, another gesture encoder about splits and layers like a...
I want to hear it. Here we go. Sound demo.
Now, I've worked on a... That alone completely changes the game and...
That's kind of cool. Okay, anyway. I used to be an INFJ, introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe, I think I'm still that. I think it depends on the day, on my mood. Because even though I'm sociable, I don't like being sociable so much. It's hard for me, even though I'm good at it. So there was a time when you couldn't keep me home, couldn't keep me down. But nowadays, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to see anything. Look at this poor owl. So this fledgling barn owl went for the bedroom window, and then it tried to contact me about my car's extended warranty. But look at this little guy. It's this picture that kills me. Look at that picture. Poor little guy. Let's look and see if they say anything about what happened to him. If there's an update. Is there an update about the owl? It doesn't say unless I have to go back really far. Okay, so this person left it on the ground near the house because there's like a tree there. And it found its way back to the top of the tree. So the little owl is okay. So now we can all rest easy knowing that the owl is okay. So now we've come to the end of Stuff I Find Interesting 63. And I want to come back to this guy. Moth, who explores all of these Middle Eastern places that like nobody knows about because they're so far flung. So a Canavanarese would have been a place where you would stop. If you were on the Silk Road and you were trading in spices or whatever, and you needed to stop for the night, you would stop at one of these places, which were built sort of defensively to keep out, the bad guys. And this gentleman goes to these places and films what's left, and it's very much worth looking at. He has, let's see what he's been doing recently. This is from a while ago, but he's still doing stuff. We go to videos. 1 month ago, he talks about why and how were the Caravanserais built, and that's worth watching. Very cool. He's like me. He's not super regular.
You must have heard
with what he posts. Like, he posts when he posts, but when he posts, it's solid and good photography. And he doesn't talk a lot, which sometimes I like it. Sometimes I like it when there's no talking. There's just the showing of whatever it is, not necessarily explaining it. But this particular episode, he does explain it.
Where were the first caravanserais built? And I am Java.
Oh, you know what? That AI music. Okay, that's bullshit. Okay, that's new. He didn't do that before. I think that's probably to try to appeal to other people, but you don't need to do that, dude. Stay true to yourself. Look at this. This is incredible. What is that? Wow. This is beautiful. Okay. This is another video. This is more close to home. This is in the Grand Canyon. So this person explored the Grand Canyon and discovered what looks to be, like, did people live there? What was going on? And what this guy actually says, the conclusion, the summary, I'll save you watching it if you don't want to watch it, is they were granaries for keeping grain. Like a silo, but like in the rocks, and that's what they were. So, but what this shows is it shows that particular area had a lot more action and population going on than we give it credit for. Like, we think of the Grand Canyon, we think of this vast empty kind of space, but there were people living there, and there are people living there. It's not just empty space. My band, Fantastic Cat, has a new song, a new video out.
Okay, welcome back to Pocono Mountain AM.
Pocono.
On Public
This cracks me up
Access
because I've been to the
Channel
Poconos.
88.
I'm not far from the
Brought to
Poconos.
you by the
And it
Pocono
really
Mountain
is
Community
brought to you by
College
the Pet
AV Club.
Cemetery. The stuff on the
This
bottom is
morning we've
hysterical.
got a folk rock group called
Stroberg Pickle Festival.
Fantastic Cat, who's making their Pocono area cable debut.
So this is.
So what do we have here?
Let's
see,
fast
Mike-
forward.
Mike on drum.
Sonny wrote a check that he knew he couldn't pay, so he gathered up his shit and he headed for LA. But he only had the gas, so to get him halfway. So now he
Lives in Indiana. Oh man. Oh man. Doing the best that we can. Good stuff, right? I love those guys. Don't copyright ding me, guys. I'm just trying to share your shit. It's so good. I love them. All right, so now we're going to look at some stuff. Play some music. This is the Sleeping Cliffs. And we're going to look at stuff from Hummus. My favorite. I love this guy. We have some pictures from, I'm not sure, but they're from 1866. Okay, let's do this. Oh, crap. Let's do this. I thought it would translate it, but it's not translating it. I'm going to go with Turkmenistan. I'm not actually sure. But these pictures are incredible. And I guarantee these things aren't there anymore. Look at this guy. He kind of corrects me up. guy doesn't look like he's alive anymore. Or they just propped him up in a chair. That guy they plucked straight from the field and stuck on a battlefield in a uniform. That guy's kind of spooky looking. It's fascinating to look at their faces and wonder, like, you know, did they survive? What did they see? What were they like? Were they married? Did they have kids? I think it was probably maybe Uzbekistan. Let's do this. That's terrible. Zizak, I think. Sir, city of Zizak. Uzbekistan. Okay, that was close. That was close. Sort of close. Here we have some more pictures. Okay, let's get away from the portraits. This is another thing I found. Okay, we're gonna stop that now. Here, let's do this. Let's go to... This is one of my new favorite songs. I love this song. So we're going to listen to this while we finish looking at hummus. I used to sing backup for my boyfriend's band in like the late 90s. And I'm not a terrible singer, but I would drink too much. So he would park me behind the microphone and I would sing my little heart out, but he would have the microphone turned off. So nobody could hear me. These are just some really cool pictures that I found. I don't even really know what they are, where they came from. I just think they're very cool. So I actually had, well, obviously Saturday and Sunday I had off, right? But I also have Monday and Tuesday off. So I have essentially like a 5-day weekend. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I have 5 days. 5 days. Which is a lot, right? So these pictures are kind of incredible, whatever they are. I guess they just show offices. Storerooms. I don't know, it gives me a Peaky Blinders kind of vibe, right? And then there's more. Oh no, now we're going back to Uzbekistan. So anyway, my plan for part of the 5-day weekend is, well, yesterday and today I plan on not doing anything, like at all, except like this. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I am ripping apart the entire apartment. Everything is coming down. Everything's getting dusted. Everything's getting cleaned. Shit's getting thrown away. I cannot take it anymore. I'm like twitching. Feels like the walls are closing in. We have a very small place, so when there's too much stuff and there's clutter, it makes me twitch. So that's what I got to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'm going to hold myself accountable to that. I'll keep you posted. You'll know if it works, because the next time you see me, this won't be up. Because my plan is to take this down and put something else up. I have something else over there. But because I'm kind of lazy, it hasn't happened yet. But it needs to happen. Anyhow, a reminder to take your vitamins, take care of your mental health, be kind to each other, and I'll see you next